Welcome back. Leonard, you were going to take a swipe into what Nancy said.
Right, about the small business issue. You know, the mayor has talked about hiring a job czar, and so far as I can see, he hasn't done that. I think he's moved.
Is he taking the line from the White House?
Well, I don't know if I would go that far. I think the financial situation, the precariousness of it, has really been the main focus for his administration. But he also talked about the fact that Detroiters are out of work and that this issue needs to be addressed. So we haven't seen that much from the administration yet. And I know he's been putting out fires, obviously union negotiations, budget cuts. He's backtracked on some of that as we learned recently in terms of not laying off 1,000 people. Now it's down to like 260, 230. So he has a myriad of issues he's dealing with, but the jobs issue is certainly one important to Detroiters, and it's one that in the next few months I think we're going to have to see some action on, and we in the media are going to have to hold him accountable for this.
I will say I talked to a lot of business owners, and business owners seem to feel like he speaks their language. I mean, he's a businessman, obviously. That's the feeling I've gotten from a lot of people I've spoken to in the business community, that even though there hasn't been big progress on some of those issues, that they feel like he's clued into what they need.
Let's switch the pendulum to the race for City Council and City Charter Commission. There are a lot of incumbents as far as the council is concerned. Some incumbents who are running very nervous and scared that they may not make the cut. We have 18 candidates running now. What's the feel out there, and who do you think really has a chance? It almost seems certain that Charles Pugh would be the council president.
Right. I mean, he's a former Fox 2 anchor reporter, has a great name in this town. A lot of people like him, have positive feelings about him. And, Detroit has always been a town of names, as, Ken Cockrell Jr. can attest to, coming from a famous father. So I think you're going to definitely see him somewhere at the top. I don't want to predict where he'll be, but he won, I think, by 10,000 votes in the primary over the sitting council president, and many people are crowning him the council president.
That was a very significant number, though.
Mm-hmm. It was interesting how those results played out, I thought, because you had Pugh topping Ken Cockrell by 10,000 votes, then Cockrell ahead of Gary Brown by 10,000 votes, and then you had a very sharp drop to the next highest ranking candidate, who was Brenda Jones.
Right.
So it was a bad night for incumbents. Incumbents did not do well at all, but among the incumbents, Ken Cockrell, though he did not take the top spot, really fared so much better than his colleagues did in terms of ballots cast. So.
And Brenda Jones was somewhat of a surprise, although during the course of my reporting and being out into the community, people were saying all along that Brenda Jones is going to do well. And when you look at her history, she really has been scandal-free.
Mm-hmm. She's avoided a lot.
She's avoided a lot of controversy, and she hasn't had a federal probe that has ensnared some of the folks.
You think Ken Cockrell's former chief of staff, John Clark, being nabbed in that probe really might have been the reason why he lost to Charles Pugh?
No, I think that may have had a part in it. But the John Clark story broke last summer, so it was a whole year ago, and we really haven't heard a whole lot about John Clark since that point. But I do think people looked at Ken Cockrell and said, we know this guy. He's been around a long time, and that's kind of the problem that incumbents are going to have. They've been around. They've been on that council for, in Ken Cockrell's case, I think 15 years at least. So when you're looking at change, you're looking at all these new candidates, people are looking at different names, and there are some big names in the race. Gary Brown, who had that famous spat with the Kilpatrick administration that brought the administration down, helped bring it down.
Yeah.
So, and Santil Jenkins, former chief of staff to the former council president, Mary Mahaffey. So, I mean, you have some names out there.
The incumbents are facing real competition.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
They're facing real competition. But the question is, would change really happen, though? Because, this is a very unpredictable electorate.
Well, but you're going to have, at the minimum, you're going to have 3 new faces on council.
3 new faces at the minimum.
At the minimum. Because Sheila Cockrell and Barbara Rose Collins aren't running again. Monica Conyers is gone. Right. So that's minimum 3 new. And Charles Pugh, it's something really unforeseen and crazy would have to happen for Pugh to not take a seat on the council. I mean, the presidency is up in the air, but for him not to win the seat, I think for Gary Brown not to take a seat, Santil Jenkins is polling very well. I think that there would have to be some really unforeseen, bizarre circumstances.
And there
for those
could be
guys
there
to
could be
make a
more than
call.
that, because
And there could be
Alberta
more.
Tinsey Talabi, her numbers have dropped. I think she's fallen out of the top 10 in terms of the polling.
Throughout
and
election night, she was
teetering anyway.
Yeah, she was on the edge of that 9.
Right. And Joanne Watson, who had a tax problem during the summer, so she has seen her numbers dwindle as well. But these incumbents, Kwame Kenyatta, Alberta Tinsey Talabi, Joanne Watson, they have constituencies. They have a base.
Strong
And strong.
grassroots,
And so if they can get their voters to the polls, you can really never predict what will happen.
It's almost kind of like a litmus test of how strong those constituencies are. I mean, you have Joanne Watson was very, very vocal in her opposition to Cobo. We all, familiar with her stance on a lot of issues. If how many votes she's able to muster, I think, kind of can answer a lot of questions about where Detroiters really stand on some of these issues.
Right. I'm not sure if the sentiment of throwing all the bums out, the baby with the bathwater, if you will, is still that strong. And I told people going into this that this is a long election season. That sentiment that existed in the summer may abate by the fall as people get to know the candidates and get to know the issues.
Is it a wise thing, though, to have a watershed sweep of all incumbents out? Is that a wise thing for?
Oh no, I don't think so.
Well, I
think
mean-
you have some people who know what they're doing, who know the way where the bathroom is. They know how to write a resolution. They know how to. I mean,
Right. And because these
sorry,
are
let me cut
questions
you
that
off
we have
on
not
that.
explored. I mean, because during the elections and the primaries, I had a lot of people email me about what they want to do. They want to run for council, and I asked them to write a 700-word essay in terms of why they're running. And I had, you had individuals with masters, and they can't even a 12-year-old can write better than these individuals. And I've said, oh my goodness, are these the individuals that are going to be on city council? So again, we've not explored those, those tits and bits issues in terms of who can write a resolution, who understands what government is. And I think it goes to the bigger issue. Should we in Detroit, should there be a school that trains candidates?
There is at University of Michigan Dearborn. There's a local government institute, local institute of government. They offer some training classes. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with their work, but should some sort of training be a requirement? Is a
Right,
good
because
question.
again, the bigger question is, who qualifies to run for office, or what qualifications must you bring?
Well, it's always tough to legislate that.
Right.
However, I will say, you have some good candidates this time around.
Right.
I mean, you can't really be sure if you're ready for the job until you actually get in there and get your hands dirty. But there are some interesting and some high-profile names, some people who've been around the city, either outside of the political realm or inside the political realm in some respects, who have experience and who know how the city runs. So, it remains to be seen how this would play out. But
Well, guys, thank you very much. Leonard Fleming from the Detroit News and Nancy Kaffer from Crane's Detroit Business. We'll have you back on, and we'll do a special program actually on the city charter itself, and have you guys talk about that to explore that further before the November election. You're watching Center Stage here at WADL TV 38. We'll see you next week, and don't forget to read my articles in the Michigan Chronicle newspaper. Thanks.
all right, thank you.